It's like daydreaming on canvas, Michelle Thornburg said, describing her work. Ironstone Vineyards is the proud home of Michelle Thornburg's art exhibit through September 8th, 2023. Michelle's style of creativity is painting from the subconscious, a technique she discovered while attending Stanislaus State University. When viewing Michelle Thornburg's exhibit, you get a dreamlike feeling. She discovered this technique of automatic painting while attending Stanislaus State University. You can find more of Michelle's amazing work online at MichelleThornburg.art or on her Instagram account by searching MichelleThornburg.art. Michelle was kind enough to sit down with me and chat about her path to becoming an artist, a class that changed her life, and has some advice for young artists. Here's that interview now. If you could, please click subscribe, and don't forget to click that notification bell to receive notification when we post our new stuff. Well, we might as well just go ahead and get right into it while it's working then.
Yeah.
Michelle, thank you for joining us here today. Michelle Thornburg has an art display at Ironstone Vineyards right now. Michelle, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and introduce you to folks? And I saw at your display at Ironstone that you're actually currently in the Central Valley. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I'm in Lodi, and I have been teaching art online for about 10 years. Prior to that, yeah, I have high school art students all online. And then before that, I taught kindergarten through fifth grade art at Aspire for River Oaks in Stockton. So I've been doing it a while. And then for myself, I've been creating art. Well, I originally went to school to be a kindergarten teacher, and then I took a painting class, and I completely switched gears. So I was like, this is what I want to do. So,
oh, really? Is that right?
So then I started taking painting classes, and I decided I wanted to be an art teacher. And then my style kind of emerged. I was taking this class called Painting from Your Imagination at CSU Stanislaus, where I was getting my degree. Yeah. And this class was called Painting from Your Imagination, which I thought was kind of intimidating because I thought that would be more like painting from your memory. Like, so if somebody said like, paint a lion, and you're like,
picture a lion.
What does that look like? Right. Yeah. Like, mine would look like a little kid drew it. Like, it's just not going to happen. So then I took the class, and then I loved it because it was completely opposite of that. It was more like not planning anything. It was more like painting from your subconscious almost, so that you're just kind of like letting go and you're not pre-planning anything. And that style of art just kind of stuck with me. And so after I finished that class and I went on, I've tried painting in different ways, but it was like that same style that just stuck. And so that's how I started doing my own painting.
It's very cool. You have a very unique style. It's almost like a dreamlike state. It's very, very unique.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's the thing too, is like when I'm applying art, or when I'm applying like paint to a canvas, I just start off by using my hands. So that was just something that I started doing. Yeah, that wasn't in the class that I took, but it just kind of evolved to that because I just felt that's what it's supposed to be like for me.
Right.
So then it's kind of like daydreaming on a canvas. So they are kind of dreamlike. And I think that's just from like letting go and not pre-planning, and then just, I call it the zone. Like when I'm in the zone and I'm just kind of like painting stuff.
Just flowing and letting it go.
Yeah, flowing. And then you kind of step back and then you look at it and start to see images. And so then it's like, do I pull those images forward or keep going? And so they go through a lot of changes. And, sometimes I have something that it's like almost done, and then it's like not quite right. And then I completely mess it up. And that's okay, because it was like it wasn't planned to be anything. And so then I'll just rework it until eventually it becomes something.
Becomes what it was meant to be.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. I like that. Well, we can see some of your work back there behind you. How would you describe your work if someone wasn't looking at it? How would you? I know you said it's like a dreamlike state, that's actually quite accurate. Like how you described it, you were saying it's kind of like they're kind of like dreams, and that's exactly how I look at them. They're just kind of more like if I were painting a dream, what it would look like. There it goes. That's very cool. It's excellent work.
Thank you so much.
The stuff at Ironstone is particularly beautiful. If you folks can get down there, I definitely recommend it. You guys are expanding your show a little bit. You were supposed to run through this month, correct? Through this weekend.
Yeah. So we extended it another week, and then I think we'll just see how it goes from there. Yeah, and then in the back of me, my virtual background. This is at Ironstone. Also, I did a festival there over the summer, and so that was like some of the.
And this is your booth that you.
Yeah, that was my booth. So
gorgeous.
That was really fun to do too.
It's beautiful work.
Thank you.
Just absolutely love your work. Are there any artists out there that you've pulled inspiration from? Like you see them as someone that like as a hero kind of thing? Like, is there something that you can, a particular artist that you can, or is it more something that like it's kind of your own animal and you've.
I think I would pull from the surrealists because it's that kind of like automatism that they do, even though it may not look exactly like some of their work, it's different, but it's like that technique would be like what the surrealists do. And it's just that automatic painting where you're not really thinking about the conscious world around you, you're just painting. And so for me, that was always the key because, you know, you can turn on some music and just start painting and it's really fun. And then that's where that's what's exciting to me about it. So, but not a particular painter, but the particular class that I took, I think that's where
that's where I was
like, okay, this is because as an artist, when you're painting, it's so hard to find your own style. And then, you know, like, then you eventually get to be like, okay, I could kind of recognize that as a certain artist, but I didn't really find that until I started painting in this particular way.
That's got to be quite the aha moment when you find your wheelhouse and you find the style that you want to pursue.
Yeah, it's exciting because it's like you're painting and then it's kind of like solving a puzzle for me because the way that I paint is so sporadic. So it's just like adding color. And I love different colors. And then when you kind of step back and you see things and then you start turning it into something, it's just it's kind of neat to kind of see that. And then that's the hard part is because there's so many colors and lines that you get like tons of variety, which creates interest. But then it's like at the same time, it can be very chaotic. So the puzzle for me is always like, how do you rein that in to get unity? You got all this variety, like now you need to make it unified overall, like somehow. So that's always what I'm like that's always like the challenge, I guess. You
just got so much going on that I would imagine it's very difficult to kind of at least keep things on somewhat of a track so that.
Yeah. The only thing that I ever kind of pre-planned sometimes would be color. Like sometimes if I'm at an art store and I'm looking at colors, like a few colors will stand out to me. I'll get that particular paint and I'm like, okay, tonight when I paint, I'm using these colors.
Right.
Sometimes those colors don't even end up being the dominant colors in the work, you know, but it started. Yeah.
Right. Is there a particular spot that you like to go to? Like, like when you need your batteries recharged and you need to like get that creative, like if you hit a bit of a creative wall, are you a beach person?
I have a room in my house that is dedicated.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
I meant like more like a getaway. Like, okay, I need I need to.
I'm more like the beach.
You're a beach goer?
Yeah. Gotcha. Water, beach, like I love that.
Gotcha. Do you find like inspiration when you go to the beach?
I do. I like the way the waves crash and like looking at that kind of thing. Looking up at the cloud. You'll see a lot of like cloud-like images in my work as well. But yeah, I'm a beach girl. I love I love the water.
That's beautiful. That's excellent. If you could give, I know you said you're a teacher, so if you could give any advice to a young, or not even a young, just an up and coming artist, someone that's trying to break through that glass ceiling that you were able to break through, what is there any advice that you could give?
Yeah, I would say paint or do what not, it doesn't have to be paint, but whatever your artistic kind of jam is, like whatever you love, when you're like, I love to do this, then that's the one you go with. So I've never like painted to sell paintings or, you know, to be, you know, I didn't even show my artwork for a very long time. I just kind of painted because it felt right to me. So I think as artists, there are always a lot of different art media that we're like drawn to. So for me, it's definitely paint.
Right.
One of my teachers that I work with, hers is clay, and she does these beautiful sculptures. Wow. Another one is art history. So it's like, but whatever it is that you just say, like, I want to do this, then that's it. Because for me, like, if I'm trying to paint something, I usually don't even use a pencil. I go straight for the paint. Like, there's no like under sketch or anything like canvas. That. Yeah. And I have tried to paint in ways like more realistically and using the grids and it gets all mathematical. And then it's like, sometimes for me personally, it just takes a little bit of the fun out of it. Right. And so I find, like, whatever your passion is in art, choose that one.
Right. Becomes a little too formulaic for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense, especially in your style of work. I would imagine too much structure, it's kind of not a good thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And I would recommend anybody trying this, if you've never painted in this style, like, paint that way and see what happens. Because, what's the worst that can happen is it doesn't look great. Then you didn't have any expectations of what it was going to be anyways. Just paint right over it. Right. I have some that don't come out well, and they sit in my little art studio room that I have. And then eventually they, I overpaint, and then eventually it becomes something. So
that's excellent. You could always overpaint it is a real thing. Yeah. It's excellent. Well, thank you, Michelle. Before we go, if folks can't make it out to Ironstone, how can folks find you if they're looking at this beautiful work back behind you and they want to check some more out?
I do have a website, so they could go to www.MichelleThornburg.art. And all my on the gallery in there's a list of all my paintings that I have, so you can check it out that way. I'm also on Instagram, MichelleThornburg.art.
Very cool. Excellent. Thank you, Michelle. I really, 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 really appreciate it. We had a little bit of technical issues that Michelle was patient with me through. So
no problem.
Thank you, and thanks for sitting down with me on the weekend too. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Much appreciated. Very cool.